watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez coming to you from Washington. It's Wednesday, March 24, 2021. We have updates from our correspondents across North and Central America. Myla Simbulan in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania's major clean energy initiative that will produce nearly 50% of state government's electricity, and Pennsylvania vaccinations of teachers and school staff ahead of schedule.
May Ann Manzano Guarzon in Sicklerville, New Jersey.
New Jersey Department of Health releases updated COVID-19 school recommendations.
Rani Bayuga in Parisburg, Ohio.
Mass vaccination continues in Ohio, and Ohio amends visitation rights in assisted living facilities and nursing homes.
Lou Aquino in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
New updates made on Michigan gatherings, mask epidemic order.
Aaron Rio Tutar in Panorama City, California.
LA County opens more COVID vaccination sites and reminds residents vaccines are free for eligible individuals.
Michael Hudson in Seattle updates us on Washington State entering phase 3 of its reopening. Plus, May Davila in Ciudad de Panama reports about a controversy surrounding a court ruling on female sterilization in Panama. And Jessica Isidro in Austin, Texas.
Families in Edinburgh, Texas receive care packages from a local church.
Our coverage begins now. Philip Jaffe, member of the United Nations Committee on the Rights of the Child, says proper digital access is no game for children. It is a right that each and every country should guarantee. Images of children huddled in store parking lots to access the Wi-Fi needed for their online schoolwork have been common during the pandemic, while sexual predators have long stalked children in online chat rooms. In its first such analysis, the Committee on the Rights of the Child found that countries are responsible for rectifying such situations by ensuring children have meaningful and safe access to digital technologies.
All over the world. I mean, we're in a societal transformation phase, and just like the Industrial Revolution, we're in the information and technology revolution. And so the whole planet has to give options and possibilities to children wherever they are, not only to protect them, but to empower them, to allow them to learn more to play, and so on. So it's a broad mandate or push that we're giving governments to not only promote an open digital world, but also never to lose sight of the fact that children are also at risk, and that everything that we provide them has to be assessed in terms of their best interest. We should make sure that they are safe, and this is a big concern in many ways, and everybody knows the examples of sexual predators that can go after children in private chat rooms. And the idea is to have regulatory sort of oversight to make sure that access is broad, that bad business practices are mitigated to some extent, that children are protected, and that these companies are obliged to conduct risk assessments when they promote new websites or new programs.
The committee highlighted the obligations of governments to ensure children have equal access to digital technologies like those that over the past pandemic year have become vital to education. President Joe Biden on Wednesday tasked Vice President Kamala Harris with tackling an influx of migrants on the Mexican border, aiming to take charge of a situation that has energized opponents of the new administration. Let's take a look.
But the vice presidents agreed, among the multiple other things that have happened at the meeting, and I appreciate it, agreed to lead our diplomatic effort and work with those nations to accept the returnees and enhance migration enforcement at their borders. We're already talking with Mexico about that. She's already done that. We're going to be... It's not her full responsibility and job, but she's leading the effort, because I think the best thing to do is to put someone who, when he or she speaks, they don't have to wonder about, is that where the president is? When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me, she knows what she's doing, and I hope we can move this along. But if you deal with the problems in country, it benefits everyone. It benefits us, it benefits the people, it grows the economies there. Unfortunately, the last administration eliminated that funding, did not engage in it, did not use it, even though there was over $700 million to help get this done. We're reinstituting that program.
Vice President Harris said there was no question that this is a challenging situation.
There's no question that this is a challenging situation. As the President has said, there are many factors that lead President to leave these countries. And while we are clear that people should not come to the border now, we also understand that we will enforce the law, and that we also, because we can chew gum and walk at the same time, must address the root causes. I also look forward to working with members of the Congress who I think share our perspective on the need to address root causes for the migration that we've been seeing. And needless to say, the work will not be easy, but it is important work. It is work that we demand and the people of our countries, I believe, need to help stem the tide that we have seen.
It marks the first time President Biden has assigned a specific portfolio to Vice President Harris, who is seen as representing a younger generation in the Democratic Party and has been constantly at his side since they entered office in January. A White House team was also joining lawmakers on a tour of a center in Texas for the rising number of unaccompanied migrant children. Meanwhile, Senator Ted Cruz demands President Joe Biden allow journalists to access border facilities as he slams the administration over failed immigration policies ahead of his upcoming trip to the southern border this week.
These children are being physically abused, far too many of them, sexually abused, far too many of them, and it is Joe Biden's policies that is causing the abuse of these children. It is not compassionate, it is not humane, and we're going down there to shine a light on the lives, the human tragedy of the failed Biden immigration policies and the Biden border crisis. The Biden administration has issued a gag order, a blackout order that the media cannot come. For 4 years, we heard Democrats going on and on about kids in cages. Well, Joe Biden desperately does not want you to see the Biden cages. And his solution is to say, no cameras, no TV cameras, no media.
Now for COVID news, demonstrators of the human rights NGO Rio de Paz hold signs that read "Shame" and laid 30 roses on symbolic hospital beds during a protest against the Brazilian government's handling of the pandemic as the country surpasses 300,000 deaths from COVID-19. Antonio Carlos Costa, president of the human rights group Rio de Paz, says these deaths were unnecessary. Costa demands a crisis cabinet to address the issue and come up with a common policy.
O nosso país hoje alcançou a trágica estatística de 300 mil mortos. Mortes desnecessárias, que resultam da incompetência do poder público brasileiro. Nós estamos aqui para pedir o básico, um gabinete de crise, uma conjugação de esforços entre o presidente da República, os governadores de estado, os prefeitos, a fim de que uma política comum seja formada. Esses cartazes representam a impressão que nos passa a comunidade internacional. O que percebemos é que o mundo olha para o Brasil com perplexidade e medo. Nós viramos...
Back in Washington, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the Biden administration is closely watching the influx of spring breakers gathering in large crowds amid the pandemic.
Well, we do watch that closely. The president is briefed regularly by his COVID team, and of course he has seen the news coverage, thanks to all of you, of spring breakers who have been gathering in far too many numbers. There, of course, were steps taken locally in response to this. We also watched that closely.
During her daily briefing, Psaki also says the administration is introducing a senior-level Asian American Pacific Islander liaison.
We are also adding a senior-level Asian American Pacific Islander liaison who will ensure the community's voice is further represented and heard, not just around crises, not just around an increase in violence, but in general, and playing an important role with a seat at the table.
Psaki also gave updates on a White House and congressional delegation's visit to the Mexican border.
There's a delegation of members of Congress and White House officials who are traveling to the Office of Refugee Resettlement at Carrizo Springs and at the influx care facility there. There is a network pool camera that will be a part of this journey, which will ensure that there's network pool coverage, or network pool footage, I should say, that is provided to all of the networks so that you can all see as the media for yourselves and be able to provide analysis on that B-roll footage.
On a lighter note, Psaki shares the latest on presidential first dogs named Champ and Major.
Champ and Major are here at the White House. They joined the first family at Camp David last weekend and returned with them on Sunday. The dogs will come and go, and it will not be uncommon for them to head back to Delaware on occasion, as the President and First Lady often do as well.
For today's COVID-19 numbers, according to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesday, March 24, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now over 124,538,000. Top 3 on the list of countries with recorded cases: U.S. has over 29.9 million, Brazil over 12.1 million, and India with over 11.7 million. To date, more than 2,739,000 have succumbed to this virus. The U.S. leads the countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths with over 544,000. Brazil is next with more than 298,000, and Mexico has more than 199,000. When we come back, updates from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Sicklerville, New Jersey, and Parisburg, Ohio. This is Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Masdan ko ang dilim, hinahanap ang sagot sa kulay ng takip silim. Ako ngayon ay humihiyaw, puso'y sumabit na punit sa iyong pagbitaw.
Ito po si Rachel Alejandro. Abangan niyo po ako sa Letters and Music ngayong darating na Sabado, March 27, 1 to 2 p.m. Syempre, dito lang sa Net 25.
You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. Several stories from Pennsylvania tonight. The state is going green as its clean energy initiative aims to produce half of the state government's electricity. And COVID vaccinations of educators and school staff are way ahead of schedule. That's good news. And Swarthmore Bureau Chief Mila Simbulan has the details.
That's right, Ace. Here in Pennsylvania, a major clean energy initiative that will produce nearly 50% of state government's electricity through 7 new solar energy arrays, totaling 191 megawatts to be built around the state. Part of the governor's Green Gov initiative. Pennsylvania Pulse, a project to utilize light and solar energy, will go into operation on January 1st, 2023. The project is the largest solar commitment by any government in the U.S. announced to date. Here's Pennsylvania Secretary of General Services, Kurt Topper. Take a look.
The project represents the largest government commitment to solar energy in the nation to date at 191 megawatts. It'll be achieved through 7 solar arrays to be built right here in Pennsylvania. Once complete in January of 2023, Pulse will provide roughly half of the electricity used by our state government, and the arrays will supply 100% of the electricity for 434 accounts across 16 state agencies. This clean, environmentally friendly solar energy will lower our annual carbon dioxide emissions statewide by 157,000 metric tons, which is the equivalent of taking more than 34,000 cars off the road.
Solar arrays will be built in 7 locations in 6 counties: Columbia, Juniata, Montour, Northumberland, Snyder, and York. When completed, the total 191 megawatt project is expected to deliver 361,000 megawatt hours of electricity per year, supplying 100% of electricity for 434 accounts across 16 state agencies, or about half the electricity used by state government. The Green Gov Council is charged with developing strategies to ensure that state government plays a lead role in greenhouse gas emissions reduction. Goals include obtaining at least 40% of electricity from in-state clean energy sources, reducing energy use at least 3% annually, replacing 25% of the state vehicle fleet with electric vehicles, and attaining energy high-performance standards in building construction, lease, or renovation. The Council recently released its 2nd annual report outlining progress towards these goals in 2020. On another Pennsylvania news, approximately 2 weeks after Governor Tom Wolf and the COVID-19 Vaccine Task Force announced the voluntary single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine would be administered to pre-K to 12 educators and school staff, the special initiative is ahead of schedule and proven to be a great success. As of this morning, 83,859 people have received the J&J vaccine through this initiative. Take a look.
Great progress. And here, I think we're highlighting just another vaccine milestone regarding the impressive progress that Pennsylvania has made in our special initiative to vaccinate teachers and school staff. That's everybody: bus drivers, cafeteria workers, janitorial staff, administrative staff, and early childhood educators. In just over a week, we vaccinated nearly 100,000 teachers and school staff in Pennsylvania. That's in just a week. Vaccinations began at intermediate units throughout the Commonwealth between March 10th and March 13th. And by the end of the week, we expect that all 94,600 doses of our initial, that was our first week's dose of Johnson & Johnson, or Janssen, I'm not sure what we're supposed to call that these days, Johnson & Johnson allocation is going to be administered. This is really an amazing progress. The idea was that we would use this Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it's a 1-dose vaccine, and it means that we don't have to wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get the second shot to get teachers back into the classroom. We're saving 3 to 4 weeks by doing the 1-dose vaccine, and it's really making a difference.
By the end of the weekend, all 94,600 doses in the initial J&J vaccine allocation will be administered nearly 2 weeks before the original goal of the end of the month. In addition, the Commonwealth was able to secure 13,000 more doses at last week for a total of 107,600 doses. The administration will request another 13,000 doses next week. The vast majority of educators and support staff who wish to receive a vaccination will have been vaccinated by the end of the month. Right now, ACE in Swarthmore is 57 degrees Fahrenheit or 14 degrees Celsius with cloudy skies. In Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Myla Simbulan, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Myla. That's spring weather already, huh?
Oh, yes.
To your report, you mentioned about solar energy commitment, Pennsylvania's solar energy commitment. What does this mean for Pennsylvania?
So the solar project that we were talking about, it will create 400 plus jobs. And also it will begin lowering carbon dioxide emissions statewide by about 157,000 metric tons each year. And this is at the equivalent of emissions from nearly 20,000 homes or about 34,000 cars off the roads. Ace?
Wow, very impressive.
Really impressive. Yeah, it is impressive.
A step towards going green.
Exactly.
A lot more coming up soon. What's the current status of vaccinations in Pennsylvania?
So right now, the vaccination of educators, this is separate from the ongoing phase 1A. That's where we are right now here in Pennsylvania. And it continues to on an accelerated pace. And yesterday, the governor announced that an analysis of CDC data on the number of vaccine administered per 100,000 of population over the past week, Pennsylvania actually is in second in the nation, behind only New Mexico. And while these numbers fluctuate daily, this indicator demonstrates that the state's significant progress on vaccinating everyone who wishes to be vaccinated. Ace?
Wow. Aggressive on both accounts, going green and vaccination. Thank you so much, Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Ace.
Prepares to reopen campuses for the remainder of academic year 2020-2021. New Jersey Department of Health releases the latest COVID-19 school recommendations. Mayanne Manzano-Garzon joins us tonight with the details. Mayanne.
Thank you, Ace. In the report released by the Office of the Governor, the New Jersey Department of Health released updated COVID-19 K-12 operational guidance for local health departments. The updated guidance, which reflects recent changes to K-12 recommendations from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, is aligned with the administration's goal of opening schools for in-person instruction for the remainder of 2020 to 2021 school year. Take a look.
In our updated guidance, we recommend full in-person instruction with a minimum of 3 feet of physical distancing between students maintained in classrooms for elementary schools across low, moderate, and high-risk areas, and for middle and high school when the region is in low and moderate risk level. When the region is in high risk, middle and high schools should maintain 6 feet of physical distancing to the greatest extent possible and consider in-person instruction if they are able to maximize physical distancing of 6 feet or more. We are recommending this additional space for middle and high school students because they have a higher incidence of transmission than the younger children. Strict adherence to mask wearing should be enforced at all times. We continue to recommend 6 feet of physical distancing when masks cannot be worn, such as while eating or drinking. 6 feet of physical distancing is particularly important between staff members in school buildings and between staff members and students, or in common areas, such as school lobbies and auditoriums, and also during activities when increased exhalation occurs, such as singing, shouting, band practice, sports, or exercise, even if masks are worn. Students and staff are still required to stay home when sick. Students and staff, unless fully vaccinated and asymptomatic, should stay home if they have been in close contact with someone with COVID-19 within the past 14 days. If someone in their household is being tested for COVID-19 due to illness, they should also stay home until the test result is received, unless they are fully vaccinated and asymptomatic. Teachers and staff who have been fully vaccinated should continue to follow current guidance to protect themselves and others, including wearing a mask, staying at least 6 feet away from others while in the community, avoiding crowds, covering coughs and sneezes, and washing your hands often.
To view the full guidance, visit www.state.nj.us. And for New Jersey's latest COVID-19 numbers, the Department of Health has reported another 3,227 new positive cases today, bringing our statewide total to 774,100. Sadly, we are also reporting 28 new confirmed deaths, pushing the total to 21,757 fatalities. On the brighter side, the latest total of COVID-19 vaccinations already administered here in the state of New Jersey is now 3,638,002. And for a quick weather update it's currently 10:01 in the evening here in New Jersey, and it's currently cloudy. It is 57 degrees Fahrenheit or 14 degrees Celsius. In Sicklerville, New Jersey, Mayan Manzano Garzon, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Mayan. Will parents or the students have the option to do virtual learning, even if schools are ordered to return into in-person education?
Well, Ace, according to Governor Murphy during his COVID briefing earlier today, New Jersey schools will return to full in-person classes for the next school year, and districts will not be allowed to offer virtual learning even for parents who want that option. He also said that he wants to be unequivocal about this and that he is expecting Monday through Friday in person, every school, every district. And if that's the case, virtual learning is not an option. Ace?
Just to clarify, this is for next school year, correct?
Right, Ace. And it starts September.
September, okay. All right. Well, what are some of the recommendations from the New Jersey Department of Health to reduce the risk of transmission in schools?
According to the Department of Health, Commissioner Judy Percy-Kelly is in her report today, which was also in the COVID briefing. She mentioned some recommendations such as increasing the circulation of outdoor by opening windows and doors and using child-safe fans and exhaust fans, and also consider having activities, classes, and lunches outdoors when circumstances allow. Ace?
Thank you so much, Mayan Manzano Garzon, Sicklerville, New Jersey.
Thank you, Ace.
More and more Ohioans are getting the COVID jab, making way for assisted living and nursing home visitation restrictions to ease a little. In Parisburg, Rani Bayuga reports. Rani.
Thank you, Ace. Governor Mike DeWine tweets that Cleveland mass vaccination has seen over 30,000 Ohioans. The state provided the first Pfizer dose at the Cleveland State University Wolfenstein Center. I received my shot there last Sunday. The whole experience was done within 20 minutes, no long lines, and parking was provided. And we were automatically set up with a second shot appointment at the same facilities 3 weeks from Sunday. Ohio vaccination is now on phase 2C. This means Ohioans 40 years and older are now eligible for vaccine shots. By Monday, March 29th, Ohioans 16 and older are next in the vaccination eligibility. Governor Mike DeWine also tweeted that while there are some facilities seeing high demand, there are several locations while appointments slots are not filled. My wife and I, we were not able to get one in our county. They were booked solid, but we were able to book one in Cleveland instead. Ohio continues to promote the use of the gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov for people to book their appointments. Information on all available locations and appointment slots can be accessed there. Meanwhile, Ohio Department of Health Director Stephanie McLeod has signed multiple orders on visitation with nursing homes and assisted living facilities. The amendments now give permissions to those vaccinated to touch their visitors while wearing a mask. Also, visits may now occur in their own private rooms. 30 minutes is no longer the maximum visitation time, but the minimum. The amendment also states that vaccinated staff should be tested once per week and non-vaccinated staff twice a week. Currently, there are 2,948,323 vaccinated Ohioans here, and that is still climbing really well. And the number of cases of COVID-19 is currently 1,004,670. The number of deaths is at 18,382. On a positive note regarding those deaths, in the last 24 hours, there have been 0 deaths. And actually, this has been the trend, at least in the last couple of days, which is a very good trend to have. Perrysburg, Ohio, Ronnie Bayuga, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Rani. You said you got was that your first dose?
Yes, that was my first dose, and I got the Pfizer shot.
Any discomfort?
None. Just a little sore where they shot me, but that's all I got, and it's been really good.
Great, that's good news. How many orders were actually submitted regarding visitation amendments for nursing home and assisted living facilities?
There were actually 4 different amendments signed by Director Stephanie McLeod. There were one specific for nursing homes and one for residential care facilities. They all stated the different ways that people can visit. They're now allowing people to visit anytime they want. They can be indoor or outdoor, and the facilities have to provide those kinds of settings. And also they can visit them in their own private rooms. The other thing that's interesting that they're allowing is also they're not taking for granted that people are being vaccinated, that the number of stats are dropping, it's plateauing. They're asking that everyone still wear their masks, provide their PPEs, wear their PPEs, and also testing, not just for the staff, but anyone coming in to the facilities. The other 2 were testing requirements. I'm sorry?
What's the importance? Why is it necessary? These orders?
Well, what's happening now is Ohio's numbers and the COVID-19 numbers are actually plateauing, and they're very nice numbers. We're not seeing surges again of COVID-19, and we're knock on wood that's actually going to stay that way. We're now 100. A lot of our students are all in-person learning now, So things have to change. The rules were now relaxing it a little bit. Before, they can only see their families in those nursing homes for 30 minutes max. So, and some of them you couldn't even touch. But they're also in their testing requirements, the additional amendments that Director Stephanie McLeod added. She was also specifying how to handle any new cases of COVID-19 in these facilities. So they're not really relaxing it 100%. But they're now allowing you to visit your family in there. So yeah, they're not taking things for granted.
I see. Well, that's very good, easing the restrictions.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Rani Bayuga, Ohio. Up next, updates from Michigan and California. Eagle News America will return shortly.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced, not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Agila Pilipinas, a one-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Agila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Agila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Agila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to our health outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. In Michigan, outdoor stadiums and arenas are now allowed to operate at up to 20% capacity, provided they establish COVID infection control plans. In Grand Rapids, Lou Aquino is with us this evening with the details. Lou.
Thank you, Ace. New updates have been made on Michigan's gatherings and mass epidemic order. The new order allows up to 20% capacity in outdoor stadiums and arenas that establish infection control plans. The update also increases testing for youth ages 13 to 19 to ensure athletes can safely participate in sports. These changes are designed to balance day-to-day activities while controlling the spread of COVID-19 and saving Michiganders' lives. Also, to ensure the consistency with the recently issued CDC guidance, this updated order includes allowing fully vaccinated individuals to gather at residences without masks. The changes to the order went into effect on Monday, March 22, and will remain in effect through Monday, April 19. According to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, these new updates is an important step towards normalcy, but there's still more work to do. As of March 24, 2021, there are a total of 637,645 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Michigan, and a total of 15,935 deaths, and a 4,454 daily confirmed cases. From Grand Rapids, Michigan, Lou Aquino, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Lou. Tell us more about this infection control plans that the outdoor stadiums and arenas are trying to implement to increase capacity to 20%.
That's right. So the outdoor stadium or arenas that wishes to increase their capacity to 20% must have an infection control plan that complies with the protocols included in the MDHHS's document entitled Enhanced Outdoor Stadium Arena Guidance. The mitigation plan must also be posted up publicly. They also need to send their infection control plans to the local health department at least 7 days before the scheduled events. Lastly, they need to administer a testing program as specified in the MDHHS's guidance for athletics for all players. Back to you, Ace.
Accessible is a COVID-19 vaccine in your area?
So right now, those older adults are actually currently eligible to receive the vaccine. And according to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, the vaccine will be available to every Michigander by April 5. So it'll be available to everybody that's not older and without any medical conditions by April 5.
All right. Thank you so much, Lou Aquino, Grand Rapids, Michigan. The COVID-19 vaccine is free regardless of insurance coverage as long as you are eligible. And proof of eligibility does not include proof of citizenship. In Panama City, Aaron Rio Tutar tells us what one needs to prove eligibility to receive the vaccine. Aaron.
Thank you, Ace. In Los Angeles, many vaccination sites have opened up throughout the county to provide eligible Angelenos with the opportunity to receive their COVID-19 vaccine. Angelenos are reminded that health insurance is not necessary to sign up and be administered the vaccine, and it is 100% free of charge. In addition to this, the County of Los Angeles Public Health Department reminds that vaccination sites will not request any proof of citizenship from qualified residents, but only the paperwork to support that one is eligible for the vaccine. Those eligible can provide any of the following documents as proof of Los Angeles residency: consular ID, post office change of address confirmation, letter from local faith-based or nonprofit organization or shelter, or membership cards from places such as the YMCA, fitness centers, apartment building associations, or business clubs. With the continuous decrease in confirmed COVID-19 cases seen throughout Los Angeles, Angelenos are still reminded to wear a mask when in public, adhere to the required social distancing, and obtain their vaccine when eligible. For more information on eligibility and appointment scheduling, Los Angeles residents can visit vaccinatelacounty.com for more details. In Panama City, California, Aaron Rio Tutar, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Aaron. So the most restrictive tier is the purple tier, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And California is moving to the red tier, or has moved to the red tier about a week and a half ago. How's this COVID-19 situation there now?
Well, the Los Angeles County continues on a rapid decline on this road to recovery from the pandemic. Just yesterday, the state of California updated the COVID-19 statistics for Los Angeles. The adjusted COVID-19 case rate of the county has again decreased from 4.1 new cases per 100,000 residents to 3.7 new cases per 100,000, with the positivity rate also dropping from 2% to 1.8%. These are positive numbers because if Los Angeles remains at these numbers or decreases even more, the county will be able to move down another tier to the less restrictive orange level by early April. Los Angeles just needs to stay at the red tier for 3 weeks before moving down to the orange tier. Ace?
That's great news. Orange tier in several weeks. What does this mean for Angelenos?
Well, this means many smiles will be brought to the people's faces here. Looking to move to the orange tier means less restrictions here. That is, increased capacity in our indoor dining restaurants, malls, and movie theaters. Like many people, Angelenos are hoping for an end and returning to that normal way of living before the pandemic struck. Ace?
Closer and closer to that normal living. Thank you so much, Aaron Rio Tutar from Los Angeles. Up next, updates from Seattle, Washington, Ciudad de Panama, and Austin, Texas. Eagle News America. We'll be right back.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Your weekly dose of entrepreneurial inspiration to update you on the latest developments in the world of business. Get up close and personal with CEOs and thought leaders. to help you discover valuable insights. Sharpen your instincts for smart decision making with the latest markets and economic trends, disruptive ideas, global innovation, social entrepreneurship, and other leading-edge business ideas. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business, from vision to action.
Umpisa pa lang talaga namang totoo nga, kinilabutan din ako. Wala nang question doon. Napakalakas nyo.
I don't know what else to say. Overwhelming performance.
Congratulations! Dahil pasok ka na sa semifinals, Junior New System!
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. I'm Ace Ramirez in Washington. The Evergreen State is now in phase 3 of its safe reopening. What does this mean for Washingtonians? In Seattle, Michael Hudson files this report.
Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. So right now, right here in the state of Washington, we have officially entered phase 3 of reopening. So that means that various retail stores, venues, and other businesses across the state will be able to increase their overall capacity to all of its customers and patrons. According to Washington State Governor Jay Inslee, and I quote, "We are excited to take this step and we will keep evaluating our progress and the impacts of these changes to determine how and when we reopen further." So before I dive into more of the details on the phase 3 reopening, I wanted to give you some updated COVID-19 numbers. So right now, the state of Washington is at 359,000 total cases and 5,249 deaths. So right now, I'm going to go over some of the updated reopening guidelines in the various industries throughout the state. So right now, social and at-home gathering size indoor is max 10 people from outside of your household. Social and at-home gathering size for outdoors is max 50 people. Worship services indoor is a maximum of 50% capacity. Retail stores maximum capacity of 50%. They do encourage curbside pickup. Professional services, remote work strongly encouraged, or 50% capacity otherwise. You have our eating and drinking establishments, the indoor dining available at 50% capacity, and alcohol service will be delivered up until midnight. And for outdoor, it's going to be 10 people per table. No establishments only serving individuals 21 plus, and no food remain closed. Weddings and funeral ceremonies and indoor receptions, wakes, or similar gatherings in conjunction with such ceremonies are permitted and must follow the appropriate venue requirements. And the big change here is the indoor and outdoor sports and fitness establishments. So sports competitions and tournaments allowed all risk categories, so fitness and training and indoor sports, at a maximum of 50% capacity, and showers are now allowed. And also indoor and outdoor entertainment establishments, the maximum is 50% capacity or 400 people, whichever is less. And if food or drinks are served, eating and drinking requirements apply. Reporting from Seattle, Washington, I'm Michael Hudson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you.
Thank you, Michael. In Panama, a court ruling on conditions regarding female sterilization has stirred a controversy. Eagle News correspondent May Davila reports.
A Supreme Court ruling in Panama that states maternity is an aspect that prevents placing men and women in a situation of equality on female sterilization has generated a wide rejection as discriminatory and was criticized by activists, lawyers, deputies, and even institutions such as the Ombudsman's Office and the Ministry of Social Development. The decision responded to an unconstitutionality appeal filed in 2015 by lawyer Heidi Mendez against Articles 3 and 4 of Law 7 of 2013, which establishes the regulatory framework for free female sterilization in the public health system. These two articles have conditions that in the public health system, women can only access surgical sterilization if they are 23 years old or older, have 2 children, and have a medical recommendation. While for men, 18 years of age or older may request sterilization in the public system without any conditions. After analyzing constitutional articles, the magistrates pointed out that despite the fact that women and men are equal before the law and therefore have the same rights and obligations, it cannot be ignored that women, specifically motherhood, are far from being similar to men in reproductive terms. Hence, in that sense, men and women cannot be placed on an equal footing. The ruling adds that they do not prohibit access to sterilization, only regulation in the way in which the service will be arranged by the state. Here in Panama, though the procedure has not been prohibited, so many impediments have been raised for economically challenged women who use the public health system to have access to these procedures. While those financially able can easily go directly to the doctor, pay, and have these procedures done. Mendez expressed her hope that legislative proposals that seek for both men and women to have access after coming of age, fully informed and under equal conditions, the surgical process of sterilization will prosper in the parliament. If this will not come through, she will take the case to the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. Desde Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News. Vivimos en tiempos interesantes.
Thank you so much, May Davila. Families in Edinburgh, Texas receive care packages from the Iglesia ni Cristo or Church of Christ in its continuing effort to reach out to communities adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In Austin, Jessica Isidro is with us tonight. Jessica.
Thank you, Ace, and howdy from the Lone Star State. Today we visit the town of Edinburgh, Texas, where a local church is distributing relief goods to help families in the nearby community. Prior to the pandemic crisis, the Iglesia ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, was regularly conducting an aid to humanity to help residents in the underserved rural village of Colonia Muniz. In March of 2020, just before the health and safety mandates were in place, volunteers of the Iglesia ni Cristo provided free health screening, bags of groceries, and clothing donations to the colonia. Let's hear what one of the local residents had to say.
My name is Lonnie, and I'm from Edinburgh, and this service was really nice. I really liked it. It was actually really thoughtful for you guys to come to this colonia to show others about your service. They were giving out bags and free food and clothing, which is also nice.
Almost 1 year later, the Iglesia ni Cristo volunteers conducted another Aid to Humanity this past weekend, this time as a drive-through event with safety protocols. Let's hear from volunteer Fanny Valadez about her experience.
My name is Fanny Valadez. I'm from Edinburgh, Texas. I'm a member of the Iglesia ni Cristo. Communities here in the Rio Grande Valley, like Colonia Muniz, need help because they are colonias that are out of the city and are usually overlooked by the city officials. The houses are poorly built and the streets become dangerous to be at night. Even though people have gotten used to living like this, you can still see how humble and noble they are. Each year, we hold this type of event at our church to help the communities with basic necessities. Last year, to help the communities, we held an Aid to Humanity in the nearby Colonia Muniz, where we shared our faith by giving bags of groceries, free medical screenings, and free gently used clothes. This year, because of the pandemic, we did a drive-through Age to Humanity where we gave away hand sanitizers, snacks on the go, and groceries. It's important for me to help the communities because I grew up in this area, and the people around here really need the help. So if I can give a hand back to the community, it gives me great pleasure to know that the people in this area are getting the help they need.
Meanwhile, I hope you're staying safe and healthy in your part of the world. In Austin, Texas, I'm Jessica Isidro, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Ace.
Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so you're in Austin. How far is Edinburgh from Austin?
So Edinburgh is about 4.5 hours south of Austin. So that's about 304 miles or 489 kilometers.
Wow, that's a good drive. Oh, in your report, there was a number of mentions about Colonia. What does Colonia mean?
I am not quite sure, but I think it means village.
Oh, village. Okay, so
Yeah.
the beneficiary of that aid to humanity was Colonia Muniz for last week. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the village in Edinburgh. I see. Well, thank you so much, Jessica Isidro in Austin, Texas. As always, at the end of every broadcast, we do not forget to recognize the efforts of our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers by giving them a round of applause. Thank you so much for being our modern-day heroes. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I'm Ace Ramirez. We live in interesting times.